This is what scares me about some of these projects. When you're changing the code, you are literally managing billions of dollars individually. And so when Ethereum just says, oh, now we're doing smart rollups, I'm like, oh, they're trying to tackle, I'm not even sure what the product they're trying to focus on anymore, but
that's pretty funny.
Because they're trying to solve every problem while they're like the second biggest market cap. And it's like, it's possibly, if you have that much money, it's doable, but it's to me, that's why these projects like Dero exist. They're supposed to be the experimental side, not like with Vitalik just on a whim, oh, today we're doing who's saying, or whatever he's going to come up with next.
What up, Vigilantes? I'm here with Lee Clagett, and we're going to talk about encrypting Monero even further. What does that mean? How do you protect, when you use Monero, how do you use it correctly? And what can we do as a community to further enhance the privacy in Monero?
Right, so what you're referring to is, unfortunately, the last leg that's not encrypted are the PP links themselves. And so under certain conditions, this can, an ISP can determine the real sender. And so this is the last leg from Monero privacy. Existing Monero users can use ISP and Tor if they're interested, but we really have to do this to be private by default, to have default encryption at the PPD layer. And so with the side of Monero, instead of using TLS or SSL, we're going to use noise protocol. And it's going to be similar to I2P in setup to make it really hard to detect on the wire.
Right on. That sounds amazing. So if you were to consult with someone that wanted to use Monero and to cover all of these possible gateways of analytics, what can a person do right now?
So right now, the best way is to use ISTP and Tor. The transactions can send directly over those networks, so they'll have encryption, and there'll be some mitigation to IP transaction, or to IP tracking. And then at the remote side, it'll use Zangland++ to further help with IP tracking mitigation. In the future, we will have, even if you're not using ITP or Tor, it'll just use encryption by default. Some extreme users will still want to use ITP and Tor because this will help with the I2P, the IP address tracking. Further, because basically the Zangland++ plus encryption mode is good enough, but I2P and Tor is an even further layer beyond that, where they have for onion routing. We're not probably at the time we back at onion routing. So that's like it's like sort of layers of complexity. So at the time being, use ITP or Tor. In the near future, it'll work just out of the box, even if you don't configure it. Like you have to try to do it wrong. So right now, you can sort of screw yourself by not using ITP or Tor. In the near future, you will physically have to say, don't use encryption, which you should do. Yeah. It would be like saying, I'm posting my financial details plus they have wrongdoing. Like you'll know when it's wrong because you'll have to physically set an option in the Monero code that says like run this, even though you shouldn't. So it will be that level of simplicity is what we're aiming for.
Right on. And so one of the things that I see a constant theme happening within Monero is the honesty. This community is very honest, and they're shilling for you guys. Like it's really obvious. Look, here's a Monero contributor talking about Monero vulnerabilities, and Monero vulnerabilities that could possibly be an attack vector on someone using Monero, and this is the opposite of what you would get in other cryptocurrencies where they will literally even lie about privacy features. Why is Monero so different? Why is Monero actually honest in its approach?
I think there's two reasons. One is the culture was always this way. So when you come in, if you're not this way, the existing contributors don't put up. So there's like this ongoing since, I don't know, like 2016 or 17, near the beginning, that if you're not honest about what's going on, you get some feedback. The other thing is, I think, if you don't really have a plan on how to improve the privacy, you just lie about what you're doing. But if you know there's a fault and you know there's a way to fix it, and you sort of have at least some plan with cryptographers, with programmers, with testers, you can at least say, yeah, we know it's a problem, we've got a plan for it. And the plan, as long as the plan is legitimate, you don't have to, like, lie about it. So a good example would be Ko and his new proposal for Seraphis. There may be some complications there, but he's so close to a solution, there's no reason for us to be like, well, just lie about it. And this, I think that there's like the cash and grab, what do you call it, smash and grab approach versus sort of more a long-term approach. And I think, frankly, some of these projects don't really have math people working. When you have math contributors working with you, it makes it a lot simpler because they always come up with the best ideas. Yeah, that's just some observation. I think that's pretty spot on, though.
Do you think PhD faculties throughout the world are taking interest in maybe contributing to a project like Monero?
I know there are math professors that have contributed to Dero in the past. I can't comment on their names, and I can't comment on where they work because that's their choices to remain anonymous. But there are definitely people who work in math departments who work on this. And another good example would be Stanford. They have a blockchain conference every year. They have a cryptography focus section, and Bulletproofs came directly from Stanford. So Bulletproof was used by Monero and some Bitcoin people and some Stanford cryptographers. It's the Stanford cryptography. It's about as PhD as you can get. So the answer is yeah, and they're already working on it. It's just a matter of Stanford is on the forefront. It seems like being willing to have people in the department work on cryptocurrency related stuff, and that's why they have a blockchain conference. Some other places throughout the country are a little bit hesitant, but I think if a place like Stanford is continuing to have blockchain conferences with cryptography and also their focus, it seems like that it will slowly fall in place. Because this isn't. Maybe not, but this isn't like this is. I don't want to make too much of Stanford. I'm not a graduate of Stanford, but it's a pretty big institution. So
yeah, right on. Like one of the. I think the most important aspect of a privacy point is its community and its adherence to the FOSS ethos, and Monero is the best at doing that. I would love to be a fly in the wall and just listen to Monero researchers going back and forth. And it's got to be one heck of an experience. Can you maybe share some insight into what that is like?
It's every time you come to a Monero conference, there's like some person you've only met via screen name, and you're like, this person is brilliant. And you're like, you have all these weird theories about what they do, and then you meet them and you realize, oh, they're just a normal person. Like you have there was one person I was like, this guy's got to be some weird insane person. And then you meet him like, no, he's just some weird math guy working in the PhD department or whatever. Like that's kind of what. And so when you're the fly on the wall things at these conferences. There's a shocking number of extremely bright people just blending in with other people, right? And when you have these conversations, other things you can't really fake. There's a certain point where you know they're not faking their capabilities because they're able to respond so quickly to your questions that if they were, in person, you can almost face some interactions where maybe, well, I'm going to ask my friend this question and then pretend that I came up with the answer. But when you're in front of this person and you're just firing questions and they're like, oh, I know, and then they write down the math or something, you can't, that's an experience that you're like, okay, this person isn't. There's no hidden army of people behind him and he's just a front man. Like, this is literally the person coming up with the idea. So there's also that aspect which is kind of cool. When you see someone come up with on the spot a new idea, you know that they're the legit person as opposed to and some of these other projects, you've probably seen this before, right? They're they're making all these claims, and then you realize, like, well, you know, who's the actual person behind it? And you realize that they literally just copied a page from another team that was actually VC funded, and they pretended, like, and this happens, probably happening less, but, like, I mean, it's 2000, what was it? What was the biggest rally? 2017 rally? When it went from 600 to 20,000, or something like that. That was I mean, there were so many people. I was meeting people, and they were telling me the projects they were buying, and I'm like, I've never heard this. It's got to be a scam, right? And they look at me, and anyway, you can when you meet people in person, it's really hard to fake. I think that's the giveaway. That's part, and these Monero meetups are just fascinating because the mix of people right now is interesting.
Do you see more Monero contributors? Do you see the base of Monero contributors growing?
Yes. It's tough because there's constantly people coming and going, and sometimes there's so many anonymous people. I don't know whether they're creating. Sometimes I wonder if it's the same person under a new name, under a new alias. But there's certainly there's two people here in particular that are brand new to Dero, and they're both one's really good at math, and the other one's good at programming, and he's about my level with programming and math. And so, yeah, I'd say there's several new contributors that are very impressive that have decided, like, Monero sort of hit it at a key point where they felt comfortable, I guess, jumping in, whereas maybe, I'd say the key difference is there's number of GitHub contributors, which is somewhat hard to define, but versus people that stay and keep contributing, that number has increased a little bit. There's a new, like, stat guy, for instance, which has been very interesting because he's trying to make sure statistics are good for making sure that the cryptography isn't leaking information. So we want it to be as random as possible as opposed to having identifiable patterns. So statistics are good at that. So there's a number of new people on board that have been very interesting and promising to Monero's future.
It's like proof of work at its finest, right? It's like you have to prove your work.
I like that.
It is.
I like that. No, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, it's proof of work. So I guess the Monero community wouldn't be at all catty for some dude to come and, like, I don't know, there's not that. You want to say if there's that hot girls club?
The hardest for the people out there coming into Monero is they want to make sure they're not coming in to destroy Monero. So there's this really hard push of vetting where you're like, but I've got the best ideas, and you're like, what people don't understand is that this happened with the COVID. Well, they assume that they see one flaw in Monero and assume that, well, these people have no idea what they're doing. It's like, no, focus on your one flaw and then assume that we're not idiots, because what happens is there's a vetting process where, we want to make sure that we're not here to destroy Monero or hijack it, right? Or just, the most common scenario is someone comes up with an idea that's not even good, but the last 10% is really bad. And it's because they're not dumb, it's just that they haven't been here for 5 years. Because, like, the thing I understand is we've kicked around so many ideas that when someone comes in, we're like, yeah, we thought about this 4 years ago. That's why we didn't do it. And this happens, rarely, but happens sometimes. But they say, someone will come in, why aren't you doing this? Well, we thought about this a year ago, but we couldn't figure it out. And sometimes someone figures out that last part, but they have to know. I don't know. There's interesting tug and pull there, for sure. But there's no. Oh, I guess the interval. No. If you can solve, the problem is that usually, like in Dero, we've got so many problems that we want to solve for privacy that you can solve them. You're in the inner circle, and it's not. Whatever you want to call it. You're solving problems. You're in the inner circle.
Yeah, like the thing with privacy coins, the one thing that bothers me is when someone starts a new project, and my question is, what you really need is a community of contributors, a trusted community of contributors, and you go join that. Creating a brand new pool of contributors, a brand new pool of investors that's positioned itself in the market to compete with an already refined network of contributors and investors is one heck of a task.
The only way I can conceive of this being a good idea is if you've got a new market segment or you've got a new cryptography technique that's untested. Like, a good example might be the ZK rollup stuff that they're trying to do. that is completely different. They're using some cryptography that is much newer. So, whereas Monero is using more, I don't say conservative because it gives the wrong impression, but it's more battle tested. So, just because it happens both ends, just because they create a new project doesn't mean it's bad. But yeah, there's a lot of people who their idea is basically, well, if I started my own project, I think it's $100 for that, honestly. But the thing is, the space is so new. To me, anyway, it's like, does everyone need to be as rich as Vitalik, or can we just be, it's like everyone wants to be $1 billion rich because it really, I don't know. It's just absurd to me in certain points. People starting their own projects. That's just my opinion on it. But if you've got, it's got to be literally if you've got a new technique that's new and Monero won't adopt, that's a good reason to start a project. Not, well, I don't like those Monero people, kind of. Because you're right, because you got to have the amount of resources you need around your team. Everyone focuses on the blockchain portion. But as you know, as the users, Monero starts to do a lot of work on wallets and making it easier for people to use and making it private for you to use by default. It's like, even Bitcoin is still working on that, right? And Bitcoin has an impressive amount of money being thrown at it. So, yeah, it's easy to start a blockchain project, but actually creating an ecosystem around it is much, much more difficult.
So I have a question that you could, along the lines of contributors and so forth, please don't answer if you don't feel comfortable answering. It has nothing to do with you or anyone in particular. What percentage would you say of Monero contributors are anonymous?
That's going to be difficult because, you mean like regular contributors?
Guys that matter to Monero.
Right, so this is difficult because there's several that are like pseudonym. At this point, it's got to be at least a third to a half, perhaps, just ballparking, because there's still the famous Moo, and there's Perfect Demon now. There's people like Luigi that don't contribute a lot of code, but are still anonymous. There's still people like Binary Fate, whose real name is known. I think at this point, I can't remember now, because he has several businesses. So, but at least. But then there's also people like Howard and myself, so I'd say the problem is there's all these people that come around and they find a bug and they solve it and they disappear again, and I think it's pretty daily. So there's an unknown number of people that find bugs, fix that one problem, and then burn that GitHub account. So you can't even...
I love those guys, by the way. Those are my favorite. Yeah. You know what those guys do sometimes? They that type of person, they actually do free penetration testing for our website. Isn't that cool? Like, because they like what we're doing. So like, hey, dude, we found this vulnerability. Here it is, and bye. That's like, wow, thank you, man.
I never had good insight to this because I've seen this before, and I'm like, this has got to be the same person. I'm not trying to outfit people, but I think this is some person that contributed a year ago, but it's kind of an interesting model because it's got. They want to remain, and a lot of people in America love that because it helps. I think it does help with decentralization. Like, it makes it harder to attack the cryptocurrency project when there's a number of anonymous contributors that are under less pressure, potentially, to review code.
So look, I've been having this idea for a while, which is to do I've been trying to see if we can do this, and oh man, I guess someone only an outfit like you would be able to kind of just do I feel like doing a call for abstracts to different PhD departments, and then have, with your help and whoever else wants to help, to figure out all the faculties that we think would be good, call for abstracts to anyone that's doing research, to any PhD candidates or professors that are welcome to come, and we'll do like a cryptography symposium. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that would be like the let's take Stanford Blockchain Conference to a whole different level, because then you would be pulling in small number of people, because there's got to be people at various departments that want to be involved, but their entire department, and that would help with that. They could just show up, write their own paper, and also I think it'd be an interesting alternative to peer-reviewed stuff. right? So like right now, a lot of that money is locked up in National Science Foundation money. But if some of the Monero money or some of the Crypto Vigilante went to, hey, we'll pay for you to come to this conference, and you get published, and it's still legit, and yeah, I mean, there's an opportunity there. I don't know what'll happen because I don't know how many departments have these people just got. There's definitely people under 30 years old that want to do research in this area, and they want to push their professors, but they probably need a place to publish and review this information, right? Because like, if it's cryptography based, there's conferences, but if it's cryptography plus a little bit of interesting stuff for cryptocurrencies, there's a little bit of a gray area. The only place you can really go is have Stanford review it, and it's got to be. I think they can be interesting because other people will be interested. We already have a couple of Monero research items. We have three at this point that could be a part of the team with Co. And both Strang and Saray, who all published, or at least all three of them could provide a good filter. As well as Justin that would suit us. So both of them and myself do another filter. Yeah, it would be. I think that actually be pretty interesting, but I don't know how many people there are, but there's got to be people under 30 that are interested, that are PhD candidates or master students. They just need a place to get their work.
I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be the Crypto Vigilante Cryptography Journal, and we're just gonna do it. I mean, the idea just came to me. We have to do it. We have to do it. And it has to be. It can't be like it has to be an independent outfit, and it's not related to anything. So yeah, thank you for this conversation.
Right. If it's associated with the more it's associated with a particular project or the National Science Foundation, then we're against because the national. Well, I don't know. There has to be a second. I think I'm agreeing with that. I think we're going on there.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it because this is important, and this is it's a good way to bring people and give them an opportunity to mingle with you guys.
And you have like Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z. I can't keep track of them. You got all these hidden people that can review this stuff too, right?
I'm not gonna answer that question. I have the right to remain silent on that one.
Yeah. I'm trying to describe it. I'm talking to him. Something. I don't know why. I don't know. Whatever. That's fine. I don't even know the details.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the thing, guys. It's almost like there is a reverence here at Monero that I don't see anywhere else in crypto. Literally, this is the only place I see a reverence towards truth and seeking what is best for everyone, and just being, and it's a pursuit of honesty, a pursuit of creating the best technology to the point that, you know, like you giving your talk today, you're very open about like, look guys, these are these entry points into Monero, these exit points into Monero are vulnerabilities that we need to fix. And so, yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I've been doing it for so many years, I don't even know any other way. That's kind of why I didn't even, when you pointed this out to me, I styled my talk around that, and I didn't even think about it being different than other conferences or other cryptocurrency projects. That was just, oh yeah, of course this is what we do. So it's kind of like, that's what I mean by it's really in the culture. So you don't even think about it, you just put it up in your slide and you say, we're screwing up now, we can do better in the future. Or, not screwing up, but the problem is, there was the base core that was there, but a lot of work needed to be done to improve upon it. And none of these projects are perfect from the get-go. That's my takeaway.
So, how far are we on getting like this delivered into the market? What you announced today? How far away would you say are we timeline? You know, if you were to give a historical horizon to get a good way to get into Monero, out of Monero, that keeps you away from being vulnerable at both ends.
Probably at least a year, because I have to write the code, do a lot of testing, and there's a hardcore situation where you have to slowly roll out the release. So I would say it's not the implementation of code is possible because I can use it already. So it's not really a matter of can this be done. It's a matter of we have to get it integrated, we have to get it tested, we we really have to make sure that there's no vulnerabilities added to the PDB layer, because if we add, oops, we're now leaking private keys accidentally somehow, but there's very low risk to that one, but the testing base can't be skimmed on this one at all. And what we have, I'll say at least a year, maybe 18 months. The biggest role it has to be, once it gets done, it has to get reviewed. And then there's a timeline where it is actually merged in the code base, but there's no official release that has it out yet. And then there's because we go to the testing phase. So that's why it actually takes so long, because a lot of times it'll actually already be in the code base. You can run it on testnet, but it actually hasn't been officially signed, GPT release, assigned by Pigeons or Fluffy Pony or Luigi and these people. And that's usually because it has, with a lot of these people, you just want to get out of the testing phase. So now the good news will be that this feature won't need a hard fork. So theoretically, if it was really problematic, I'll try to make it as possible with that so you can run it early. And the only downside will be, since it hasn't been through battle tests, we may be theoretically hacked. But I mean, I don't want to make it scary like that. But it'll be less than tested. So the only problem, actually, the biggest problem will be that there are no stops. So there'll probably be this phrase where we don't really need to roll out. You'll be able to use it before we actually release the release. But then the problem will be you'll have to not compile your and run it yourself. It won't be downloaded like Salt Lake. So for those people who see here, that actually gives us where it works.
Thoughts on CK Snarks, and do you ever foresee Monero adopting zero knowledge proofs? I mean, I know there is already,
right?
But akin to ZK Snarks.
The only reason I say no is because there's a reason, and there's a market for, I think, loan projects to coexist. There's a conservative approach to the ZK Snark. The Snark approach, they have theoretically unlimited, but the unlimited set is the entire point. This is sort of what the pirate chain is. The downside of it's usually an entire, it's maybe a good person to talk about. It's entirely set of math principles that are math assumptions that are newer and less battle tested. And to me, this is one of those things where Zcash and Pirate Chain, they're not they can coexist without them being, without us like sideswiping and saying they're scams or whatever. They're just,
it's a little daring, right? What they're doing.
Right, it's daring, but it's almost like, I'm more of a free market person where I'm saying, like, some people almost want to have this, well, we've got to regulate control, and I'm saying, well, no, like, we don't know which one, but they both need to coexist, and users have to fly to whichever one they can comfortable with, and there'll probably be a combination of both. My personal opinion is going to be, we need to really work, well, we as Dero, and this is how we're competing with other projects, we're working hard on making it easy for end users, because at the end of the day, that's going to be, I think, what most people are going to gravitate toward, right? So that's my first opinion. I don't see it, like I said, I don't see this adopting ZK Snark unless Co's work can, because Co is expanding our ring sizes to at least over 100, possibly further. And so that should really help with privacy. And it would have to be, the way it would happen is like down the line we realize we'll hit the end of the road with our current technique. And then these other techniques have been battle tested and we roll it out. So it's not, I don't say never, but it wouldn't be, I wouldn't see this in the next couple of years. It would be like 5+ years, maybe 8+ years, where we could hit the end of the road. It would be like we're at Monero 1.0, Serapis is Monero 2.0, and in 5 to 8 years now we say, all right, well, we're going to hit the end of the road on this one, I think we need to switch over, and this will be Monero 3.0. But because again, the advantage of Dero over Bitcoin is that it's so focused on privacy. If it becomes clear that we have to make the change for privacy purposes, there won't be as contentious. Like Bitcoin, everything is contentious. Whereas if we say, if it's agreed upon, and a lot of the researchers look at it and say, we've got to make a change to ZK Snarks, it will just happen because like there's no other option. And that's probably the biggest difference by having a clear focus, I've said this earlier, by having a clear focus, that is a huge advance. Whereas Bitcoin is the biggest flaw is trying to do everything for everybody at the same time, and that's probably why there's these, there's like the hard money team, and there's the privacy people, and there's like, and they're all, there's guns and Bitcoin people, and they're separate from the mining crew, and they're separate from like these other people, and it's like, there's the Lightning Network people, right? They go, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so when we discovered Pirate Chain at the Monero conference, there were some Pirate Chain devs there, and all these Monero guys were huddling around them, like these mysterious persons were there, and what's going on here? So I got to know them, and then once we studied them for a year, because we're all Monero like guys, and we studied, we were like, no, there's something here. And so we started, we did our tone to it, we did our own research, our own due diligence. Once Pirate Chain took off, then the main thing for us at the Crypto Vigilante is, whoa, peer review audits now, more. And right away, they rolled out a soft audit and another audit, and in between, DarkFi, those guys like Rose here and Miritaki, turns out that they were doing an audit on the same technology at the same time, on the same stars. So, like an independent audit. And so, 3 audits, in a sense, happened at the same time.
Yeah, from our perspective, that's good because, like I said, they're almost like, they're testing the next tech, I guess. I don't know, it's, I'm probably not going to work on Pirate Chain yet. I have no what's going on in there. I actually don't know that I've met anyone in person yet. I'm sure I know they're going to take Roberts. Never met anyone. They're, as far as how, the thing is, like, they're so much potential for growth. I don't even see why people get that confused over, right? Like, it's, at least that seems to be respected.
Yeah, I think for the sober conversation and thoughts, because, there shouldn't be any contention. It's really, we're on the becoming stage. And if anything, the way I see it at this moment, it's like Monero, you guys at Monero are like watching Pirate Chain with popcorn, like, what's going to happen? And then,
that's what I'm doing. I can't speak yet.
Yeah, and then I see like the Pirate Chain guys, especially because of us hammering into them, like, you gotta kind of copy the like that meticulous nature of the Monero community, and they're adopting that way of being. We start seeing audits and audits after audits. It's almost like everyone's learning from each other, which is really cool.
Yeah, they developed this national approach to end up like all these other Bitcoin forks that just flew by the night, right? So Bitcoin Gold or I don't know. Well, I think those are always intended to be schemes, but they have to make it clear that they intend to do something as opposed to just say Pirate Chain all the time, right? Because as long as they're doing that, I don't think anything wrong with it. If all they want to do is say Pirate Chain, I don't know. Or ARRR, I don't know. Like, all right, go out of your code and write something first. But as long as they're continuing to do that, I don't think any of us, at least I don't anyway.
Yeah, audits are so important in nurturing that, what we're talking about. That environment of being critical is like the most important thing. So, I know that, this is probably a completely off-topic situation, and that I'm going to bring up, but any thoughts on Dero? Dero?
Was this the project?
The smart contract protocol, it's private.
Right. I haven't had a look at it, so I can't comment on it other than I know smart contracts plus privacy is a pretty big thing. I'm not gonna say it's impossible because it's definitely. I mean, just look at the ZK roll stuff. There's techniques to be there, especially with if we're using SAR technology. But the difficulty's got to be in there. And it's definitely possible with SARs to do what they're trying to do, which is set the amount of code and the amount of. It's a big effort. Like it's almost so big that like I don't have time to think about it. But the way I would phrase it is you're pretty much looking at one of the most experimental texts, and so I'm not a financial advisor, but that's how you should feel when you're looking at this practice. That's got to be up there with the most experimental one. But there's definitely everyone wants to move to something like that. Like you can see that with Ethereum, you can see that because they're all. And then the problem is with Audits until after the fact. It's like after all these years, Ethereum is like, oh yeah, we're gonna do practice, right? And we're gonna have you see this, and it's doable, but when you've launched and you've got millions of dollars on your wallet, because there's a big difference between Monero market cap size and Ethereum market cap size. And one of the problems is when you've got that much money you're responsible for to just say, oh, now we're doing this other thing. I don't think people realize this is what scares me about some of these projects. When you're changing the code, you are literally managing billions of dollars individually. And so when Ethereum just says, oh, now we're doing smart rollups, I'm like, oh, they're trying to tackle, I'm not even sure what the product they're trying to focus on anymore, but
that's pretty funny.
Because they're trying to solve every problem while they're like second biggest market cap. And it's like, it's possibly, if you have that much money, it's doable, but it's to me, that's why these projects like Dero exist. They're supposed to be the experimental side, not like Vitalik just on a whim. Oh, today we're doing who's saying or whatever he's going to come up with next. But sorry, I'm just going to go. I hate that way. To me, that's why a project like that exists, right? And that I think it's interesting how I can't count it because I haven't time.
But the thing is that it is time for us. Around all of us that are around the false ethos, which really is what this is about, Monero. Like, to really start speaking out, because a lot of these projects, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they sell people on everything that Monero is starting to really deliver in the world. And it's unfortunate that people are still marketing Monero and Ethereum and Bitcoin as private enough. It's really unfortunate that we have to see that. And I think it's almost, at this point, it's almost like a moral imperative for us to have to speak out.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite is these email addresses that are like them the worst, right? And this Twitter account is moves money here, and if you prepare for that, that's fine. But a lot of people didn't. I don't think prepared to have your email effectively treated as if it were like a progressive. Like how much people just want to have their bank and just put on Twitter. That's kind of what some people have gone through with Ethereum and Bitcoin, and there's solutions to be had there, but they don't want to go through the pains of actually accepting solutions. They sort of want this magic solution. This is my perspective. Yeah. Or the other thing is you have to maybe this is going to recognize they should be focused and say, we're not privacy, that's okay, we have a different role.
Yeah.
But they want to be like everything, everybody, and my favorite is we're going to be the one coin to rule them all. We're going to kill all the other projects, as if the dollar. Is there other currencies other than the dollar? I don't know. I mean, the way the Bitcoin people talk, there's no other national currency. So it's kind of like saying there could be other digital currencies. Yeah, probably. But that's.
Yeah.
I think you know what I'm talking about.
Of course, it's upsetting. It's upsetting because you're hurting people. No, they're hurting people because they're not being honest about it. They should be honest and say, look, you're within an open and transparent blockchain that is, you're opening yourself up to surveillance, like your bank accounts on Twitter now.
Yeah.
It's like...
And the shame of all is, Bitcoin can still have an niche, and as long, there's really no reason to be antagonistic about it. It's just that I think what I'm saying is like they're trying. Some of these projects are going to say they're going to do what every project is doing. And I don't. This is why I kind of like. I don't know if Dero is legit or not, but I know that if they're focused on being a private this as opposed to doing everything at once, it's at least a very focused niche that I can get behind, as opposed to some of these projects that are the next, my favorite is like the next Ethereum killer. How many have you seen of those? The Chinese Ethereum killer. The Korean is gonna. We can go through all the countries. There's gonna be how many countries do we have left that we haven't seen that are gonna kill Ethereum for? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the only real Ethereum killer would be a project, if it's not Dero, a project like Dero, that actually takes the false ethos very serious, and it brings researchers and cryptographers and mathematicians that are very much mirror the way Monero research goes, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would be... the only other project that's kind of close is Tari, but it's not really trying to do what Dero was doing. It was more focused on specifically colored coins or unique tokens. So they had a unique focus. But that's like the only other project that I know of that has a similar ethos where it's focused on a narrow thing and it's not trying to add on other features out there. It's just because there's so many. Every other project is, wow, there's another new thing coming out, so we're going to be that thing too. Right? And yeah.
Lee, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
We can keep talking for hours here.
No.
But yeah, I mean,
I need to get some food. I haven't eaten in a while.
I guess it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Close.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us.
Yeah. Always, man.
Anything you would recommend? Last words of wisdom for anyone watching that's new to Monero and is now learning about the honesty of Monero programming and how to be more secure now?
The only thing I'll say is there's people I think that this is their first cryptocurrency experience, and they're going to get a very different experience when they go to some other projects. Some of them will be positive, but some of them will be just jarring, and how, like you said, I mean, we're not making this up. Like if you go to I don't know. That's the only thing I could say is that if you're new to Monero, you are definitely getting it very different. I'm not saying that it's all 100% positive. It's definitely different than these other conferences that you because I've been to the big one in New York, and you just walk down the hallways. It's big. It is big, but it's like, to them, Bitcoin has no flaws, right? It's gonna solve. And my other favorite is Bitcoin fixes this. Well, what does it fix? You know, I appreciate there's a small number of people in Bitcoin that I love and appreciate, but when you go to these big conferences now, there's a very different feel to it. So that's the only thing I can say is if you're new to cryptocurrency and Monero, you're going to get a very different feel if you go to some of the. And you experience both, but you'll see immediately what we're talking about.
Yeah, guys, this is it. Honestly, this is the heart of crypto, in my opinion. And thank you for everything that you've done for the space. And for all those that don't come to conferences, tell them that on behalf of everyone that's part of our network, that we're all very grateful for all their work. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And